Welcome to Trope Coverlet. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for the Writing is Life tag, which was created by Julian Graystroke, whose channel is super entertaining. I will leave a link to that channel in the description below. So let's get right into things. Number one, if you could magically make one of your works in progress be finished and ready for publication, which would it be? For me, this is Of Larks and Crows. This is my sweetheart novel. I began it shortly after high school, which was quite some time ago, and actually was sort of conceptualizing the novel in high school. And I've gone through 2 drafts of the novel, and every time I get there, I realize that there's just something that I don't have the tools for, or something that I'm not, there's a statement in there that I'm not prepared to make in the correct way. There's just so many things about it that every time I start it, I just sort of weird myself out. So I think that if I were able to just snap my fingers and have that project done and ready to be published, it would take a lot of the background noise out of my writing life. Number 2, who is your favorite character that you've written and why? For me, this is a character from a flash fiction that I wrote in grad school named Mudbucket Jones. And Mudbucket is just sort of this town legend whose entire rise and fall is encapsulated in this one flash fiction as told by basically someone who comes across as the town storyteller. It's a piece that I don't know how to get out there because I'm not sure where to send it for publication. But the character of Mudbucket himself, I like him. 3, what is the most terrible thing you've done to a character? Number 4, what character or work are you disappointed with, most disappointed with? This is an interesting question. For me, it's another piece that I worked on in grad school, actually my first quarter in grad school. It's called 1000, and when it was workshopped, the professor looked at me very sincerely and said, "Why did you write this?" And my answer, having not been prepared for the question, was to make people feel worse about life. And that's sort of the answer. It's sort of the real answer. It's about a serial killer or probably a serial murderer more than anything, who loses his love for the game. And not just for killing, but his passion in life was sort of to ruin things for people. And he realizes that at some point the shine is wearing off of even that type of life, and even that type of life gets boring and mundane. And the reason I'm disappointed with it is that I think that there's something that could be said there, but I am not able to get there. I've done several revisions on it, and I've worked on it for what would be about 4 years now-ish, and I can't get it just right. And I have a feeling that there's something very small that I could do, something very small that I could tweak to get that story where it wants to be, where it needs to be, but I can't figure it out. Number 5, pick a theme song for the main character in your current work in progress. For me right now, this would have to be the theme song for The $1 Million Man, that TV show. And the reason is because the character, it's a short story that I'm writing, and the character in there goes through a procedure sort of like this, that is sort of revolutionary on a medical scale, and the struggles with that for an ordinary person. So I think that would be fitting, if nothing else, because that's actually, I was making a joke about, maybe about a coworker, possibly about a coworker with possibly another coworker, and that $1 million joke came up, and I had to write the short story afterwards. 6. What is a trope or cliche you are embarrassed to say that you have used or do use? For me, I don't know if it fits into a trope or a cliche, but I was very, very guilty at one point in time of writing a lot of bad Hemingway impersonations. That was a style of writing that I fell in love with once I learned how to read it and tried way too hard to do it, forsaking everything that to that point had been my voice. So I don't really do much of that anymore, but from time to time it will definitely still slip in a way that is not promising. 7. A wizard tells you that if you stop writing forever, one of your other dreams will 100% come true right now. Would you do it? No. I mean, I don't even know what I would do with an 11-inch penis. Number 8. What do you do when you're not writing? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I mean, you know, I've got hobbies from time to time. I'll even go to, I talk to people sometimes. Look, I thought this was the writing is life tag. Number 9. If you could show anyone alive or dead your work, who would it be? For me, this would be Tom Spanbauer, the man credited with teaching Polinick how to write, and he is an extremely talented writer in his own right. And if you can actually YouTube Tom Spanbauer, and there's several videos that will come up of him talking about writing, and he seems just so knowledgeable about the craft, and as if he has conceded his life to realizing, yeah, it is through characters that we learn ourselves. And that would be, when I read his book Now Is the Hour, which I will actually be talking about in a tag not in the not too distant future, but his book Now Is the Hour was the point at which I stopped trying to be Ernest Hemingway. I read that and it was so charming and so promising, a small little story in a big book, that I realized that there was more to writing than very short sentences, and in fact that's where my voice is the strongest. 10, and the final question, what is the most stressful thing you have ever written? And for me, this goes back to question 1. We'll bring it full circle. Of Larks and Crows, my sweetheart novel, I can't get it right, and I start it and realize that I'm not doing it right, so I move on to other things to try to add more tools to my toolbox. And then I'll realize something about the novel and I will come back to it, and I'll realize that I still don't have the tools. But one day I will finish that novel, and it will be, if I could go back to being a knockoff Hemingway, it will be good, and it will be true, and it will be a novel. Hopefully I'll get there. But that is the Writing is Life tag. If you like this sort of thing, I'm going to try to be more consistent with tag videos on Tuesdays. That seems to be the norm around the community. So I will, to some extent at least, conform. Hit like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back for the next tag video.